States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome all of our friends and neighbors and colleagues to this regularly scheduled December 2nd City Council meeting. As you come in, there'll be a sign-in sheet on the desk. Please sign your name so that we know that you were in attendance tonight. May I please have a roll call vote? City Clerk Price.
Councilperson Bell. Reiner.
Here.
Beer.
Here.
Morrissey.
Here.
Sharp.
Here.
Stuchel.
Here.
Pratt. Sizer.
Here.
And Mayor Stockford.
Here.
We have 7 present.
Thank you, Katie. Councilwoman Pratt and Councilman Bell did both contact me, and they had engagements they had to attend to tonight, so neither of them will be here. We'll move into approval of agenda. Does any member of council or the city manager have any changes they'd like to make to the agenda tonight? Councilman Beer?
I'd like to take H, the meter quarterly investment report, and put it at D on new business. I had a couple questions on it, so.
Sure. If you want to do that, Councilman Beer, we can do that. I do, just for future, anything that's in the consent agenda, we can discuss during consent agenda time too. Because just some brief history for you. I know back before when you were on council before, if anything was in, if anything had money that it needed to be spent on, it would have been in new business. Now, also back when you were on council before, Board of Public Utilities approved their own bills. A couple years ago, we started approving Board of Public Utilities bills for them. So they make the initial recommendation and approve them, then they come here for a final approval. So after a couple months of having 25 items in new business with Board of Public Utilities purchases, every time we decided that if it had something to do with Board of Public Utilities, we would move it to consent agenda. But I definitely don't want anybody to get the idea that we still can't discuss and ask questions about things on consent agenda.
If we can still discuss.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
before the approval, okay.
Yes, sir. So
I'll take it back. I'll unmove it.
Okay.
Or whatever.
Thank you, Councilman Beer. Any other changes? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Morrissey, seconded by Councilman Beer to approve the agenda. May I please have a roll call vote? City Clerk.
Councilperson Briner.
Yes.
Beer.
Yes.
Morrissey.
Yes.
Sharp.
Yes.
Stuchel.
Yes.
Sizer.
Yes.
And Mayor Stockford.
Yes.
All approved.
Thank you, Katie. We'll move into public comment on agenda items only. During this time, the podium will be open. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. Please limit your trips to 1 to the podium. Please understand per our council rules that we will not respond to any direct questions asked us while someone is at the podium. And please make sure if you comment on anything that it has a direct tie to something that's present in the agenda. Podium's now open. Seeing no public comment on agenda items, we'll close the podium and move into the consent agenda. The consent agenda, we've got approval of bills, city claims November 14th, BPU claims November 14th, payroll and longevity November 27th. City council minutes November 18th, TIFA minutes September 17th, Planning Commission minutes October 15th, EDC Business Review Committee minutes of November 7th, Airport Advisory minutes of September 14th, Finance minutes of November 18th, and Meter Quarterly Investment Report November 19th. Does any member of council have any questions about any item on the agenda? Councilman Beer.
Yeah, on item number H, going through it, if council wants to go to page, on the website, it's page 66. On here, it's, III? It's on the management's discussion and analyst page.
Oh, the meter quarterly investment report was what we just went over. So the annual audit is under new business A.
On the new business A?
City audit. Meter is the one that we just went over.
So we would discuss this in the audit?
Yes.
If that's,
Okay.
okay. Any other questions or comments about anything in the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Or,
Motion on the floor from Councilman Morrissey, seconded by Councilman Briner. May I please have a roll call vote, City Clerk?
Councilperson Veer,
Yes.
Morrissey,
Yes.
Sharp,
yes.
Stucho,
Yes.
Sizer,
Yes.
Mayor Stockford,
Yes.
and Councilperson Briner.
Yes.
All approved.
Thank you, Katie. We'll move into communications petitions. Item A is another letter from Comcast. Item B is the Great Give event, which is tomorrow, Giving Day, 12/3/2019. Item C, Planning Commission Annual Report Presentation. Sam, I know Sam Nutter's present. Do you have a presentation for us, Sam? Hold on, before you do, real quick, does anybody have any comments or questions about the other two items in communications? Go ahead, Sam. Thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I want to thank you all for the work you've been doing. I've lived here since 2003, something like that, and I've watched the city improve slowly over that time for the duration of my existence here, including the roads, surprisingly, even though they're not all perfect. I just want to go over a few things. I really want to leave you with a slightly better understanding of what we do at the Planning Commission. We're all appointed by you folks. We have a function, and we'd like to fulfill it, and we'd like to, make sure that we're as useful to you as possible and useful to the city. There are several things that we do on a regular basis. Site plan reviews would be the biggest one. If you see on the printout that I have for you there, it has the ones that we've gone over the last year and a half or so about. Those aren't, as you know, and just for the public that they may know, they don't, if we approve it, doesn't mean it's going to happen per se. It has to come to you. And so in order for us to make sure that we're kind of on the same page and that it's good for us to know what kind of things you're looking for and what kinds of things you don't like. And Dr. Morrissey does a good job keeping us abreast of that, and we appreciate that as well. So there's several there listed. There's some beautiful projects going on. Some of them take longer than we'd like, but Gelsers, the college always has things going on. In the last few years, the hospital. There's lots of stuff all over town, and it's wonderful to see, and I hope that the people in Hillsdale and you folks as well we appreciate the work that you have done to help make those things happen, and I hope that we can get a better sense of optimism because there really is a lot going on. One of the other things that we do, and I only mentioned because there's 3 of them and they're important, is we approve and then send to you guys lot divisions, which are important. It's nothing too complicated from our vantage point other than making sure it's legal and making sure it falls into the right zoning and all that. But it's an important thing, and it's something that people run into from time to time when they go to sell property. They have to split a parcel or something like that, and sometimes there's little things that go along with that. One of the big things that we do is zoning ordinance reviews. We do these every month or just about every month. They're important, and they're important because there's lots of stuff in there that's been there for decades, maybe even over a century, I'm sure. And so we go through them systematically. Alan brings ones to us, and sometimes we'll bring up a topic and be like, hey, can we look at this? And we'd love to look at ones that you guys are more interested in. And again, if you let us know, we'll know which ones you kind of are cluing in on. We're here to help with what you all are doing. We're like in the background. We're appointed by you again. And the point is that if you have something specific, I would encourage you to mention it. If there's a specific, some sort of zoning ordinance or something like that, that you're like, hey, why don't you guys, I can't guarantee that it'll get done right away, but it is helpful to know what kind of things you're looking at in terms of those sorts of zoning needs. Those are changing all the time with like Airbnb would be an example. Bed and breakfasts, that's a big thing. We've been doing a lot of work on that. You'll see on the future goals, we're kind of working on that. Or I don't think it's in the future, but it's something we've been working on. We have a public hearing soon on that, and that's exciting. Little things like that, they're really important. I also want to mention some other activities that we've participated in and had a part in the last year and a half or two. The Bobby's Trail Master Plan. Master plans are important. They help with grants and that sort of thing. I'm going to mention more in a second about that. Joint recreation plan with the township. Downtown overnight parking, which is a constant source of continual change and animation from people on all sides of that issue. And so that's important, and it's something that we are looking at more to make it better. Commission bylaws, that's our specific rules for how we operate, and we had to make some adjustments there. The zoning map was updated. Form-based code is so important, you know that already. I do want to mention, though, coming up this coming year, it looks like there's not a lot on there. Existing tree ordinances, we've been looking at that because we got beautiful trees. We're, I think, what is it, Tree City? What is the phrase? I don't remember. But it's a wonderful privilege to have beautiful old trees, and so we want to make sure that we do what is proper and right, and of course all that gets approved by this council right here. That's important. And then the master plan, and I just want to mention this because it's important to me and to everything that is done for the city, and that is what we put in the master plan doesn't guarantee, and most of you probably know this on the council, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that we're going to be able to do in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever. The point of the master plan is a general direction, and then also this, which is if you have something in the master plan, and if you don't know this, you have to know this. If you have something in the master plan, it is very helpful in getting grants. It's very helpful when the state comes in and does something. And so we want to make sure over the next year we'll be looking at, we've already started looking at sections of it and we're going over that. But you want to make sure that you're up on that. We would love to hear any kind of feedback or input on that because it's important. It's important that anything we think of that might be important that maybe we could get a grant, and I know not everybody's a fan of grants, but anything that the state's doing, anything that we're doing in the future, if we know what we're looking to do and any kind of improvements we're looking to do, it helps us to have those down because it helps with other organizations that come in and say, what is this city doing? Companies coming in, that sort of thing. Anyway, it's important to me. I'm sure most of you are aware of it more than I am. I just wanted to mention it for the benefit of the people here and maybe if you didn't know. But that's some of the things that we do at the Planning Commission, and I think you're going to hopefully approve 2 more folks for that tonight. And it's a pleasure to be involved with that. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Mr. Nutter?
Yeah, I have one. There's lots. You cover wholesale limit, but I guess my question, concern, are you looking at anything to preserve historical downtown Hillsdale? And what I mean by that, from an overall master plan, one of the things that help small downtowns is walkability and how to make things more accessible by walking. And one of the issues we have is, that I see personally, is Broad Street, because it's a very difficult street to cross.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just curious from a master plan perspective, are you looking at anything, working with Tifa downtown? How do we preserve, protect our historical downtown?
One of the things that cities and municipalities will do is a road diet. We've looked at that. I'm sure you're aware of that. There's been talk about extra street lights. I won't mention anything specific because it'll probably make everybody angry, but it would be helpful really to slow down traffic.
Very much so.
During the, I don't know if it was the 60s or whatever, there was this mindset of let's get the traffic through, and we've kind of pulled back from that. So we have talked about it at great length over the course of the last year and a half at least. And really for this road right here, because this is a state road, and I'm sure you know this, but for the benefit of everybody else, it's difficult for us to make changes and for you to make changes on this road. And that is really the big walkable spot in town, is mainly a state road. So we're working on it, but it takes a lot of time.
But it is on your radar.
It definitely is on our radar.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions or comments for Sam? City Manager?
Just maybe to add some information, because we have talked about the council, Tifa, the planning commission sitting down and expressing just what you're talking about. I think it's looking like that meeting's going to occur the latter part of January.
January 25th.
Yep. So we'll have a perfect opportunity for those type of things to come out and to be made known to the planning commission, so that as they dig into the master plan, we can all express.
I mean, the
And
whole,
we've talked about doing that for a while, so I'm really looking forward to it. It's really important that the three at least be involved in that. And we realize that we're under an authority under you, and we want to support what you're doing as elected officials, and it helps. Dr. Morrissey helps with that and his input, but any input from the rest of you and feedback is appreciated.
I mean, we are a small town. You know, we all know each other, we're all neighbors. There's no reason why we can't work collectively together for one beautiful Hillsdale.
There's a lot of things happening here. That's
Yep.
the last slide. You'll see that progress is everywhere, and I really
Yep.
believe that. I've been here since I was a sophomore in high school, and I've watched the city, and I've heard people complain. My father said he was in the Navy. When he got to his first ship, he thought it was the worst one in the Navy, and then he realized everybody thought their ship was the worst one. So this is a good one, and I'd like
Thank you.
to stay on it. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate your service. Okay. Yeah, I don't think so. We'll move on in the agenda. We've got a public hearing tonight, introduction and adoption of ordinances, public hearing, so we can reinstate the IFT certificate 2013-460 was previously held by Hartzell Veneer Companies, and we want to move that to Paragon Metals. Clerk's office is in receipt of an application for industrial facilities tax exemption certificate for property located at 282 Industrial Drive, owned by Warehouse Properties of Coldwater LLC and is leased to Paragon Metals. Application is for reinstatement and transfer of the real property tax abatement granted to Hartzell, 2013-460 for a 35,000 square foot addition to the facility constructed between 2013 and 2014. If you guys wonder where that's at, that's right across from the Workforce Development Building, right behind Becker and Scrivens there. The project estimated cost from the original application was $522,000. Property in question lies within Industrial Development District 1, established in 1975 over Hillsdale Industrial Park, plats 1 through 3. The certificate was revoked effective December 31st, 2016 for the 2017 tax year due to the cessation of operations by Hartzell Veneer at this location. Clawback penalties in the amount of $40,651.77 for real and personal property taxes abated between 2014 and 2016 were billed to Hartzell upon revocation of the certificate. MCL 2007 or 207.565 allows us to transfer the revoked certificate. So the EDC Business Review Committee reviewed the application at their meeting and recommends that we approve the resolution as presented to reinstate and transfer certificate. Anybody from Paragon here tonight? Would you like to take the podium, sir?
Thank you, everybody. Paragon is growing leaps and bounds, and we need this it's gonna help us. I've only been with the company for about 4 months, and it is one of the most aggressive, fun companies I've ever worked at. So we employ 250, 300 people in Hillsdale County, and we're continuously moving, so we appreciate the council's vote on this, and thank you.
Yes, sir. What's your name, sir?
Trevor Pibbles.
Trevor Pibbles. We've met before, Trevor. I remember now.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions for Trevor? Excuse me. Councilman Sharp.
I used to work there.
Yeah?
Worked there for 2 years in the Hillsdale plant. Your plans for this building, right now, is this machine repair down there? Is there going to actually be production be moved in there now?
There actually is a minor production in there right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the plans are to put more production in that facility, actually. We're growing.
Right.
We have a big line coming in from Dana, and we're running out of room, quite frankly.
Oh, yeah, that's very obvious. I mean, I've been in both plants, Quincy and Hillsdale, and it was pretty full when I left there, and there was new lines going in, and I knew when you guys purchased this or leased this building, that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
there would be the opportunity. I just wanted to make sure there was gonna be more production jobs put in there, and of course, the manpower is always the issue with you guys.
Always the issue, yes.
It's everywhere.
Yep.
But I'm glad to see it, and I definitely will support this. Anything that creates jobs for Hillsdale, it's a good thing. Tax revenue too, and we need this. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you guys are, Paragon's doing great things in the industrial park. Jack, real quick, I got a question for you. Just dawned on me, I do business with Paragon. Should I sit this vote out?
Is your business with Paragon gonna be affected one way or the other by this decision?
Is Paragon gonna use additional staffing to staff the building and any possibility, use a staffing company to help?
Yes, possible.
Then abstain.
Just to just so everyone's comfortable. Okay. Yeah. I am going to
Hand it over to you.
let Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Morrissey handle the vote from this point on.
All right, I do have a question, which is, I'll call upon myself to ask a question. It's probably a dumb question. What happens to the $40,000? Was that?
Councilman Morrissey, we were able to claw back a portion of that. So we got just shy of $16,000 of that back from Hartzell. So we received as much as we could out of the closed business moving forward. So this approval would basically allow Paragon to get the remaining years, which would go to December 30th, 2025. So there's only about 5 years left.
Okay.
But they have been active in the building, and I think the numbers I seen were probably 20 to 25 jobs in that building. So, and they've been a good business partner for the city.
Any other comments or thoughts on this?
Motion to approve.
Hold on. Oops, public hearing. Make
sure
you open the podium.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, it's a public hearing. Open the podium to anyone who wishes to speak on this topic. Okay, seeing no one approaching the podium, I close the public hearing. Now I may ask for a motion.
To approve the transfer
To approve the transfer.
from Hartzell Veneer to Paragon Metals.
Number 2013-460. So, Councilman Sharp, you, yep, a second?
Mr. Veer seconded.
Okay. Councilman Sharp has moved it. Councilman Veer has seconded it. Roll call vote, please, City Clerk.
Councilperson Morrissey,
Yes.
Sharp,
Yes.
Stuchel,
Yes.
Sizer,
Yes.
Briner,
Yes.
and Veer.
Approved and unanimously.
Yeah. That's resolution 3402.
Back over to you.
Thank you, Councilman Morrissey, and thank you, Council. We'll move on to old business. Item A, street projects, ICE grant verbal update. Jake?
Good evening. Waited a long time to say this, I guess, but we are down to one item remaining on the project. And that would be plugging the 30-inch interceptor from the laterals coming from the homes. There's 8 homes over there. We spoke about it a little bit at the last meeting. Requires some special people to do some special things crawling inside that pipe. So there's some permitting and things to get in place. We're anticipating December 14th, I believe, is what we had in our conference call today for that work to be completed. Should close everything out from there. We're obviously anticipating some terrace touch-ups in the spring, but other than that, the project is completed other than this one item. So,
Any questions for Jake? Councilman Sharp?
Oh, yeah. You did part of Ripon Street, put straw down. Then you didn't put any more down. And my concern is, and I've already had it brought to my attention, some of the dirt they put down is starting to wash out.
I guess I apologize. They are still intending on putting some straw over there.
Yeah, that was the concern the people were having
Yep.
about they were going to lose their dirt before spring.
Yep. they intend to put some straw over there. I apologize. That's
That'd be
one-
great,
one of the
because
little
that
things.
would help. Yes,
Yeah,
thank
a few
you.
spots need some straw.
Yep.
Correct.
Any more questions, comments?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Councilman Morrissey.
Congratulations.
Well, not quite yet. Hold that maybe for the next meeting, but we're awful
Well,
close.
congratulations so far.
Thank you.
Sorry, Councilman. Sometimes it's hard for me to see you because you're sitting right next to me, so. Any more questions, comments? Thank you, Jake. Awesome stuff. We will leave old business and move into new business. Item A, city annual audit presentation. And I believe we have Donna with us tonight. So take it away, Donna.
I'm Donna Heck from Condon Heck Beischer Wade in Hillsdale. And it is nice to, you guys don't have such a big audience this year like you did last year when I was here. So, following Jake's. Good news. We're going to go over just a few things of this bound packet that you have. Section 1 contains the financial statements, footnotes, independent auditor's report. Section 2, second tab, is the schedule of expenditures of federal awards, the single audit reports, the reports on internal control, and all of these are for your year ended June 30th, 2019. Would like to thank Bonnie too and her staff for all the cooperation and courtesy that she's given to us during our audit process. It takes a lot to get ready for an audit and to finally get to the end of it. The auditor's report is at the very front of the first tab. And the purpose of the audit is to give our opinion on whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement. It is not to detect fraud or to give an opinion on internal controls. Our opinion for this year was that the financial statements are fairly stated, and we're giving you an unqualified opinion, which is the best type of opinion that you can have. Moving on to page 1. This is your statement of financial net position. This is for citywide. This includes all of your funds. All 18 or 20 or whatever funds. This is a snapshot of your assets, liabilities, deferred outflows and inflows, and net position of the city as of June 30th, 2019. It is presented on the full accrual basis of accounting, much like a business, and includes all of your capital assets, long-term debt, including pension liabilities. This is the 5th year that you're reporting you're required to report your net pension liability. And in your case, you had a total pension liability of $24.1 million, but you also had investment assets to cover some of that liability in the amount of $18 million, leaving you with a net pension liability of around $6 million. And you can find that the third column over, $6,110,602, towards the middle of the page 1 still. Your net pension liability increased this year because you had a net investment loss of $751,000 with your MERS did, but you weren't the only city that had that. You are 75% funded, which is down a little bit. Last year, I believe you were 82% funded, but with that net loss, that brought you down to 75% funded. However, you do pay what MERS actuarial tells you that you need to pay. It's not like you're not paying what you're supposed to pay. So the actuarials tell you what they think you're going to need to pay, and you pay it, and there's things that are out of their control that happen, and it just happens. So let's move on to page 4, and we're just going to go over, I'm just going to go over your general fund, and that is the far left column on the far left column. This is the balance sheet for the general fund, for all your governmental funds, but for the general funds, what we're going to look at. You have a total fund balance in your general fund of $934,591, of which $842,000 is available for future spending periods. This fund balance represents 17.9% of your annual operating expenditures. I believe you have a policy to target your fund balance to be at 15%. So you're still within that range. Now for the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances on page 6 for the general fund. Again, far left column. The total revenues and transfers in from other funds totaled $4,802,816. There was a slight increase in revenues due to property taxes. Other than that, it was pretty much the same in revenues. Total expenditures and transfers out to other funds totaled $4,786,667. And this was an overall decrease of spending in the general fund of about 1%. So you added to your fund balance $16,000 through the year. So you're not going backwards. Does anybody have any questions on the balance sheet or statement of revenues and expenditures for the general fund? There is in the back detailed information on both revenues and expenditures and how it related to what you budgeted, and that is on page 34. So if you want to look at the detail of what you originally budgeted, what you amended the budget to, and what your actual came in by function, that's on page 34 and 35. Up front, we just put aggregated amounts. I also wanted to point out the management discussion and analysis, which is starting on Roman numeral 3. This is a required element of the financial statements, and it's prepared by management. What I do with it is review it to look to see that there's nothing materially misstated in it, and there's a lot of in-depth analysis in that. Did you have some questions on that?
Yeah, that was my question.
Okay.
And actually it was on for the pension liability, and huge increase.
In the liability.
Yeah, on the 52% increase from the prior year.
What page are you looking at?
Roman numeral 3.
Oh, okay.
And it's probably the government and county standing boards. And then, of course, it goes on to say that the 6 million increase, or was, going up, was a 52% increase. And you mentioned earlier in your presentation that the MERS account for that time period suffered a 700,000 negative.
Yeah, if you go to page 29 in the notes, that'll give you a more in-depth look at what happened between, and this plan is a calendar year plan, so it starts January 1 and goes through December 31st, 2018. That first note, you have your liability, and then you have your net position, in other words, your assets that are being used against that, and then your net liability. And so that far right column tells you everything that happened within that, and that's where you'll see that your investments lost $751,000.
So these figures were actually from January 1, 2008
to 18, yeah.
December 31st,
Yeah,
2018.
because that's your plan year. That's your MERS plan year. It's a calendar year end. Yep.
And I just know from investments, like I said, 2018, they did really well to start, and at the end, they kind of tanked.
Yeah.
But now, is there any stipulation on, now does the MERS just invest it according to the city's dictates, or is it pretty much?
No, you're in that fund, and
and then
it
they
does
kinda
what,
invest it how
Yep.
they.
yep, they have a board of directors, and they invest. It's just like, you can't tell Edward Jones what to invest
But I guess my
their
concern
fund
is
in or whatever.
that, okay, we had a bad year.
Mhm.
I'm assuming probably this next year's gonna be better. But the liability that the cities, if they have, consecutive years where the portfolio, so to speak, underperforms, and the requirements or the MERS payments to the retirement
Will probably increase,
will
yeah.
probably increase.
Yep. And it all depends on who's drawing from that also. I mean, you paid out $1.5 million worth of benefits. So it's not just a matter of putting money into it, it's who's drawing from it too. So.
But also with, I know the council recently, for instance, with the line workers were, full retirement was at 55, but I think a year or two ago, they changed it to 50 as far as where they could retire
Yeah.
with benefit.
And I know all new employees except for police and fire are not in this, right? Yeah.
No.
They're not defined benefit. This is just your defined benefit plan. So all new hires, except for police and fire, are not in this plan. So, you're working away from it.
Okay.
So. Also wanted to point out that on the Uniform Guidance tab, the tab 2, there's page 1 is the independent auditor's report on internal control and compliance. There were some deficiencies that we identified. They have been discussed with management, and you'll also find a corrective action plan in the back. So. And that concludes my presentation. Does anyone have any further questions?
Any questions for Ms. Heck? Councilman Beer?
On the non-compliant issues that you noted in this, if you were to give it a more of a rating as far as maybe a 1 to 10, 10 being really bad and 1 not being so bad, what would you probably give it?
Can't say there, the level of the findings are material weaknesses, and so that's a more severe than like a significant deficiency. The 2019 one, everyone, there's a lot of cities that get that one of the financial statement preparation. I'm looking on page 8. So that one doesn't change. The rest of them are considered material weaknesses, mainly for the fact that the dollar amounts that were in error and not caught before we came into audit. The 2019 4, distribution of property taxes, that's a compliance finding, that, and that's more to do with what you're supposed to be doing legally, the treasurer.
Okay.
So I'd say that one is more apt to get you in trouble than any of the rest of them.
Any more questions, comments? Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming tonight.
Yep.
We'll move on to item B in new business, MDOT contract number 2019-0696. Jake?
I'll keep this one pretty simple. Essentially, we renew our contract, our agreement with the state. Primarily, it's what my department does as far as reimbursements with them on the highway, whether it be sweeping, repairing a storm basin, or maybe some patching, whatever. All those things that we do the same thing on the highway, so it specifies all of that. There's really not a lot in there that's negotiable. You'll see probably the one that stands out is the 45% for snow hauling. I think you'll see that in there. They'll cover 45% of our costs for that off the highway. Of course, the caveat is we still need their written permission to do so, but comparing that to the previous agreement that was done before myself, it's exactly the same. Nothing's changed. I didn't see where anything should change under my tenure, so just brought it before you to get it reapproved.
Any questions for Jake? Thanks, Jake. We'll do that after this. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Jake. Sorry. Department of Public Services recommends approval of the resolution. Authorize myself and the clerk to sign the MDOT contract. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution as written?
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Zeiser, seconded by Councilman Morrissey. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. What's the resolution number?
3403.
3403. Of course it is. Okay. We need to go back to item A, new business, because we need to have a vote to approve the audit. So I'm sorry about that. I moved us along too quick. To accept, excuse me, not approve it. It's already done, but to accept it.
Motion to accept the audit as presented.
I'll second that. Motion on the floor from Councilman Sharp, seconded by myself to approve, to accept the city audit as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Sorry about that, guys. We will move on to item C. Housing Initiatives Division's Neighborhood Enhancement Program. Dave, you want to take this?
Yes.
I'm getting lost in my packet now.
Thanks, Mayor. This is a small grant. It's only $30,000, but the state has come out with this program which will allow residents to actually apply for funds to improve their their owner-occupied homes. 30,000 is the max, so basically what this is allowing us to do is the council would approve myself to execute documents on the city's behalf if we were to submit the grant, and then if we were to receive it. Again, this is because we're a low to moderate income community. Basically, this will allow up to $30,000 to be used to improve individual owner-occupied homes within the community. The idea is that if this works well and we're able to help some individuals get their homes fixed up, whether it's a roof, whether it's a handicap ramp, kind of critical things like that, that maybe it's something we could apply for multiple years if it's available, and to help those that desperately need assistance.
Okay, so the individual homeowner applies for the grant, and we just provide a letter of support on their behalf then?
No, we would get the $30,000 and look at setting up a program which they would apply to us, and then we would administer that.
Okay. Any questions?
Is there a cap on the home, the property itself? I mean, is this just for homes at a certain level on down, or for any home?
Well, it's meant to be for those low to moderate income. What we kind of envision it internally as maybe those on fixed income that don't have the means to replace a roof or big.
What about a developer who bought maybe some older homes and wants to fix them up? Are they eligible for this grant as well?
No, this is for owner occupied.
Oh, okay, so they have to live in it.
They would have to live in it.
Okay, okay.
Any more questions, Councilman Beer?
Would there be a limit on individual homeowners as far as the amount? So the city would get a total of 30,000, correct?
Correct.
And then I guess my next question would be, so if you're gonna possibly look for fixed income individuals, would that be in conjunction maybe with Al and Kimberly in the assessor's office to maybe point out some structural needing some help?
Yes, that is the idea. They have some good ideas as some homes that could benefit from this. We haven't, the criteria from our side isn't necessarily set yet. The state they don't have a lot of guidance on this from what we've seen so far, so I think we'll have some flexibility, but our idea would be to help those who are definitely in severe need, and we'll also have to look at, do we cap that? Is it 5,000? Is it enough to do a roof? Or, so we don't have the specifics as of yet, but we will have them by the time we submit the grant and report back to council.
And also, would you have any requirements maybe for, like, the homeowner putting out a portion of it, or do they kind of defeat the purpose?
Well, in some cases, I've seen programs that do that. It's kind of a shared process, but based on what I've gathered so far, that criteria hasn't been established by the state, and we do not have that as of yet. So we're just kind of at the front end of this grant.
And I guess my next question would be any stipulations on the homeowner doing this or using the grant and then turning around and selling this property?
usually these grants like that have a stipulation that they are attached as a second for a period of time, and then they're removed, just to prevent that kind of, hey, here's some free money, I'll fix this up. So I would anticipate that being a requirement.
Any more questions? I'd entertain a motion approving the resolution as presented.
So moved. Support. Take your choice.
A motion from Councilman Stuchel, seconded by Councilman Veer, to approve the resolution as written. It looks like it's calling for a roll call vote. May I please have a roll call vote, City Clerk?
Councilperson Sharp,
Yes.
Stuchel,
Yes.
Sizer,
Yes.
Mayor Stockford,
Yes.
Councilperson Briner,
Yes.
Beer,
Yes.
and Morrissey.
Yes.
7-0, approved.
Thank you.
Resolution 3404.
Thank you, Katie. We will move on to miscellaneous reports. No proclamations tonight. 2 appointments, both to the Planning Commission. One is Elias McConnell, young fella. Another one is Jacob Parker. I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to. Excuse me. Yeah. Also, we're appointing Mr. Laycock to the Board of Review. Kerry just stepped off the Planning Commission, and now he's jumping onto another board. So, really want to thank Kerry because he sure has put his time in. If anybody has. And then also Brendan Deasy to the Airport Advisory Committee. Brendan's a nice young guy too. Hasn't lived here that long. I think he's in the insurance is what he does. Anyways, really nice guy. Had a chance to talk to him a few times. Anyways, happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, we can do these single, or we can do them all with one motion.
I move on all 4.
Second.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Briner, seconded by Councilman Sharp, to approve all these appointments to the various boards. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We will move into general public comment. During this time, same rules apply. Please limit your trips to 1 to the podium. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. Please understand per our council rules that we won't answer any questions directly from somebody at the podium. And at this time, you may speak on anything your heart desires. Podium's now open.
Ruth Brown, District 1 County Commissioner, 45 Apple Run, Hillsdale. I'd like to know if the public would have access to having hard copies of the audit, or if it's going to be online. How can the public access the audit, especially a hard copy? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Yeah. What's that? Yeah, it's a public document.
Yes.
It'll be online for sure.
It's part of the agenda.
That's what I was going to say. It's in the agenda, so you can access it right now. So,
If I may, Mayor, ask Finance Director, do we put a hard copy at the library?
There's a hard copy at the library and
In
there's a
my
hard copy
office.
in the clerk's office.
Yes. So we do
Okay.
have 2 hard copies for the public to view as well.
yeah, there's hard copies at the library. And did you say at the post office?
Library.
Oh, okay. I was like, post office. All right, thank you. Any more public comment?
Jack McLean. I talked to Katie, but it seems that the website, there's like no minutes there. I mean, there's only one set of minutes for council since 10/15 of 18. So I don't know if the website's took a dump. I did get told that you don't even have to publish them. It's just, and I was just trying to see if there was something wrong with the system. Because I also looked at TIFA minutes. There's only 5 TIFA minutes since 5 of 18. which, I know this stuff was all there, and now it's gone, so I'm not sure what happened. Okay, with that said, I had the $30,000 that you guys were just talking about, that's all the money you'll get, right, Dave? Or, I know you can't answer me, I'm sorry. I'm asking you anyhow, but would the people be able to use that money towards the new NES, say down on, down behind Essex Wire and stuff, those places? Those houses probably aren't worth $5,000 anyhow. It'd be a great place to put the money in. I know, I think it's Sam LaPresso that lives down there in his mom's house. I know they put a roof on it, a bunch of people did, but can they use that in the NES also? Because if they could, that'd be great for those houses in that area. They could get $5,000 from you, plus use it on the NES to get their tax break on that, which I think would be great. And I think this is also something to kind of go along with what Mr. Hendy was talking about, where people could get money for, the city could. Okay. I'm gonna go to Tifa. I'm really lost here. I read these minutes. I see in the target development minutes that in the last two meetings they're talking about partnering with the Heritage Foundation, the governance board. I looked up the Heritage Foundation. It's the Heritage Foundation is not even a, a second here, I got it here, you just got to give me time to find it. The Heritage Foundation is a foreign nonprofit corporation. Why would TIF even want to get involved with the Heritage Foundation?
Not the right Heritage Foundation. The Heritage Foundation is a well-known think tank in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
I think he's talking
That's
about
what
the
this is
Heritage
He's talking about
Association.
my wife runs.
Yeah, I think you're confusing.
Yeah.
That's what it says in the minutes. I'm just going by what it says in the minutes.
Somebody's confusing something somewhere.
Let's try to follow our rules though, guys.
All right.
That's okay.
Okay, the governance board, I never see any minutes from them, any meetings. I see they've had a couple meetings, but then they don't say anything. I don't know if those are available anyplace. I'm seeing that the governance board is also thinking about getting in with the artworks, which I also looked up artworks, which I know it's Mr. The one closest to us is by Mr. Heckenlively, but artworks is actually Artworks isn't even from around here either. It's from some other place. I don't understand why the governance board would want to get into involvement in that to go along with the Dawn Theater. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Then the other thing that's in this is the Heritage Associations I brought up before. It's a group out of Howell, Michigan that doesn't have any relationship around here at all. Actually it's a management, a condo management thing. So I don't know if these minutes and people are saying stuff using somebody else's name as an alias or whatever for their businesses or whatever, but they're not using the proper names for their business if that's what they're doing. There is a Heritage Association of Hillsdale, but it ties into Mr. Heckenlively's too, and also so does Artworks of Hillsdale Incorporated. So I don't know if people are not using the whole names for what they're trying to talk about, and I never have seen in any of these minutes where someone from any of these organizations are even speaking or corresponding with TIF at all. So I'm very confused about some of this stuff and why it's trying to get into our little city and be involved in our Tifa district. It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Jack, I think you know that you're talking about the Heritage Association, which is a local group of people.
No, it's not.
There is a local group called the Heritage Association. You know that.
Of
You
the-
know that. You
Of
know
Hillsdale,
there is.
of Hillsdale, Michigan. Not
Of
the Heritage
Hillsdale,
Association.
there's, I'm sure there's 5 of them in the United States. I don't,
There's much more than that.
well, maybe
Actually.
there's a dozen. I don't know.
I just think people should use their proper names. Unless they're not proud of Hillsdale and don't want to use their name.
All right, then. Any more public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll close the podium, move on to the city manager's report. Dave?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a number of things to mention here. First is the BPU Holiday Light Contest. I think just want to remind the public who are watching who might be interested. They are, if they're interested in submitting their address, home, or business for the BPU Holiday Light Contest, they are supposed to submit their address by this evening. So if they could do that, if they haven't already. This coming Saturday is the 2019 Light Up Parade. Lineup in the Midtown parking lot begins at 5 o'clock and the parade starts at 6:15 p.m. It's the 8th annual Light Up Parade. Again, just want to plug the Hillsdale's 2019 New Year's Eve Bash. This is the 2nd year. The events we have there are, which are free. We have an ice skating rink, a portable one that's going to be set up at the fairgrounds. Beer and wine tent put on by the Elks Club at Grange Hall. We'll have kids activities, horse and carriage rides. We'll have a DJ at the poultry barn, and that'll be heated as well. And we have a ton of sponsors that have made this possible. At the end of the evening, we will be lowering the Penguin at midnight like we did last year, and then we'll also have a pretty nice fireworks display there at the fairgrounds. I think it's the same company that did the one at the college, but this will be at the fairgrounds, and we're trying to make sure everyone is aware of.
Oh, they'll be aware.
And people would be expecting it. So just want to make sure the public knows that most of it is free. There will be food there that will be vendor provided, so that is probably the beverages and the food will probably be the only things that cost. On Saturday, December 14th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., the Mitchell Research Center will be hosting the holiday open house at the historic Mitchell building. They're going to be celebrating their 40-year anniversary of the Friends of the Mitchell Research Center. The museum artifacts and family documents of years gone by they'll have available. In 2020, Mitchell Research calendars will be available, featuring Centennial Farms of Hillsdale County. Mitchell Research Center recipe books will be available to purchase, and they have punch and cookies. Again, that's Saturday, December 14th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. On December 10th, the official grand opening of the local eatery will take place. Bob Flynn from WCSR will be there to do a live show there for the radio station. There'll be free coffee all day, prizes and discounts. Again, that's the local eatery. And then last but not least is on December 20th from 2 to 4 p.m. we will be celebrating the retirement of Kay Freeze from the city. Ms. Freeze has put a long time in with the city and has decided to move on and achieve other things. So that being said, we've invited former city managers. We're inviting the public that might have anyone who had interaction with her that would like to wish her well. Again, that's December 20th from 2 to 4 p.m. here at the City Hall. I'm suspecting it's probably up here. We'll invite the former mayors, the current mayor, and all those council members as well. So we're looking to send Ms. Freeze off with a warm retirement wish. Yes. So that being said, I'll be happy to answer any questions council might have.
You will bring new HR lady at the next meeting, correct?
Yes, we will.
I have met her, but
Yes.
I don't think how many other council people have had the opportunity to meet her yet.
Yep, we did, and I believe we spoke about this in the past, but it's been a little while. We did take resumes and interview a number of HR candidates for our director position to replace Kay. And we were able to select one that's from the area that we think will do a great job for us. We'll bring her into the next meeting to introduce her to you. And Kay will be finishing up here at the end of the month. So Laura Sargent will be our new HR director starting next month. But she has been training with Kay for a couple months to make sure she understands all the city's processes.
I definitely, when I talked to her, I asked her if she knew what she was getting herself into. And she said yes. And I said, welcome to the war.
Any more questions for Dave?
Are we gonna have the meeting on the 25th between the planning commission, Tifa, and city council? Is that set, or is
For January?
25th? Yeah,
January, right?
January
You
25th.
said 25th.
I
I'm
believe
thinking
it's
December.
Saturday,
Saturday.
January
It's a Saturday.
25th.
It's a
That is the intention, yes.
Okay, do you have a time? Just
Um,
curious.
I don't have it right now,
Okay.
but
I feel like it started at 11.
it was in the
Okay.
morning, for
All right.
sure.
Okay.
If Alan was still here, we could ask him.
All right,
I
no,
don't-
okay, I just wanna make sure we're still set.
I'll make sure to mention it for the,
Okay.
or have that for the next meeting.
Any more questions for Dave? Councilman Veer?
What was the grand opening on the local?
December 10th?
Tuesday.
Wait, I think that's I think it's this Thursday.
No, it's the 10th. I put in for a half a day so I can get there.
Okay.
So it'll be next week.
It's the
Oh,
10th.
I had it in my calendar for the 5th. Thank you.
You'd have been early.
I go there all the time.
I know, you've
I
been
would
really
encourage
early.
anybody to attend that. I mean, what Jason and Dina have done with that place, that's exactly that's the sort of development we need downtown. Took a landmark place and saved it and made it better with their own money and under their own steam. And it's something that's available to anybody. It's something that brings people downtown. And I would say the same thing about, Jeremiah and Brandy Irving's with the coffee cup, and Cindy Bisick with, more restaurants downtown. This is just a great thing. And if we can get
that's when we did that survey with the college kids, that was one of the number one things they mentioned.
that's real development. That's
Yes.
real local money,
Stuff downtown. Something to see. Yep.
Yeah. Any more questions for Dave? Yeah.
I do want to just make sure I mentioned that Tifa did participate.
They did.
in
He
that
got a
project.
$10,000 grant from Tifa.
Correct.
And he put new booths in there
Yep.
with it.
Yep.
So, and I think that's great. I think that's exactly the sort of stuff that benefits us.
I agree.
Any more questions for Dave? Council comment? Anybody got anything to say?
Yeah, just one thing. Congratulations to the Reading Rangers on their second state championship. I'm very proud of that group.
Yep.
That's good for the county. I was in Jonesville, watched the parade, the fire trucks and everything. That was awesome to see. That's what you want to see. Years back when my one boy was with the Pittsford back in the 90s, we got to experience track 4 years in a row.
And
Those was-
football, we won
Football, yeah, his senior
96.
year,
I was
his
on that
senior year.
team. Was Jim on that team?
No, he was running cross country then.
Okay.
Yep, they took second in the state that year.
That's why I felt like when Reading won their first one, I was kind of like happy. I was happy that they won it, but I kind of liked being on the only state championship football team in the county. But
Now they're the
that's
big
just
boys.
That's just a petty thing.
Now we're just the little brothers. They're the big brother now.
Yeah.
So that's the way it is. But congratulations to Reading.
Yeah, awesome. Any more council comment?
I was just gonna echo the exact same thing Bruce did, because Mr. Veer and I were on pleasure on a state championship football team 47 years ago.
Is that right?
Yep.
God, it's been that long. Jeez. Oh, yeah,
So
I
you
remember
guys are on a
those
state football championship team. I was on a state football championship. How many state football champions we got sitting up here at the council table?
Oh, me, obviously.
Leather helmets and all.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. Before we close, share the warmth. The warming center that's in Wilson Hall over there, they're having a tough time finding male volunteers, and they don't open unless they've got a female volunteer and a male volunteer, just because there's female clients and male clients, and sometimes there's kids there. So if anybody, I've signed up for a couple nights. If anybody has, the shifts are long. They're like 7 at night till 2 o'clock in the morning, or 2 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock in the morning when they close. But last winter, we were able to keep the place open without having to close once. So hopefully we can do it again this winter. So, you know, if you guys know anybody, or if anybody out in the public's listening, they need male volunteers for certain nights. So there's a calendar there, or contact Penny Myers. Any more council comment? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Briner, seconded by Councilman Veer to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You guys have it.